Hey everyone, I'm Denise Salcedo. Welcome back to the channel. I am very excited to introduce to you my guest for today. He is currently a co-holder of the Impact World Tag Team titles as part of Violence by Design. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Deaner.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
I know, happy to be here too. I'm very excited to chat with you here today. I love the setup too, by the way, the nice plant in the background. It looks really great.
Yes. Oh, let me add some more to the ambiance then. If we're
Add to the ambiance.
Yes, if we're gonna have a poster, we're gonna have a plant. Maybe we should add this.
Yes.
Too. Let's add that and complete the ambiance here.
Bring in
set.
The gold.
That's right. As you're right. Good introduction, by the way. Yes.
Thank you.
Making sure that you mention that I am an Impact Tag Team Champion. So just in case anybody's wondering, yes, I am. I got the proof right here. So happy to be here.
Fantastic. So Cody, let's go ahead and start talking about the fact that you've had this total reinvention of your persona in the last several months. So let's talk about that transition from Cody Deaner to Deaner, the version that we're seeing now with Violent by Design. What has that transition been like for you?
It's been scary. Some people actually say they're seeing the new version of me and they're like, I'm scared of you. But it's also, it's been scary for me in the sense that it was risky because I was very much comfortable with my previous version of myself, I guess. I'd been kind of portraying that character for, over a decade and was very comfortable both in the ring and out of the ring with my look and just how I live my life and how I portrayed myself in the ring. And I decided I needed to make a change. I needed a creative evolution, and I decided I'm gonna take a risk. And a lot of my friends, in the business, were like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, you have been extremely successful in your career, doing what you're doing. Why are you doing this?" And I just knew, you know what, I got more to offer. And if you're not evolving, then you're getting stagnant. And I decided I want to evolve and I want to change. And I think the fact that I'm carrying this around right now and the quality of matches that I'm having, the people that I'm rubbing shoulders with in Impact Wrestling now, I'm pretty sure that it's safe to say that the risk has led to some reward.
Well, they always say that in order to get the most out of things, you really do have to take risks and get outside of your comfort zone. And so with that being said, when this idea was first, who came up with the idea here to have you essentially, join Violent by Design?
It was actually mine.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had heard that there was potentially going to be a group kind of forming and revolving around Eric Young, who has been my friend for over 20 years. He actually had a hand in training me, and I'd heard that there might be a group forming around him, but nothing was kind of set in stone. And I kind of got the creative juices flowing myself and decided that this is something that I want to be a part of. If it's time to evolve, and the time is now. So I pitched the entire thing. How the transformation could happen, what it would look like, and we ran with it. And the group name was come up with by myself and Eric Young and the guys in the group. So the creative process has been super fun and super satisfying because it's our baby. We're creating what people are seeing right now. So I couldn't be more proud of what we're coming up with and what we're presenting to the wrestling fans at this point in time.
And see, that's the thing that makes me excited because I was planning on asking you this later on in the interview, but now that it's come up, let's talk about that creative freedom that, a lot of the talent has over at Impact Wrestling. You mentioned that this is your baby. What is the atmosphere like, between you and the guys and, everybody in the locker room when you do have this freedom of, basically getting to implement your own ideas and really just kind of bringing this version or this idea, this vision that you may have out there to the fans?
I think that's one thing that many fans might not realize, and I think I get lumped in with this by some wrestling fans. They think because they've heard of other wrestling companies and how they operate that you're just kind of given a script and they're like, okay, this is the character you're going to play and here's the words you're going to say tonight. Go memorize the script and then you go do it. That is not how things operate at Impact Wrestling, I've heard time and time again, both a writer or a producer or someone in creative or someone in management saying, Deaner, you know yourself better than we know you. You do what's best for you, and you perform at the level that you know you're able to perform at. So the creative process is amazing. And in terms of the guys, I mean, like I said earlier, I've known Eric Young for over 20 years. I was there in Joe Doering's very first week of wrestling school, and I've been wrestling for over a decade with Rhino on the independent scene. So us four guys, we're not just four guys that were random people put together. We're guys that want to be working together, want to perform together, want to work together, want to come up with creative ideas together, and we do that. And it's super satisfying, because now not only are these guys, close friends of mine, but they're also, their careers depend on me. We're professional friends as well, because, our careers are dependent on one another and our success. We rely on each other now. So I'm actually even closer to the guys in the group than I even was before.
And I like that too, because, you mentioned your history with each one of these guys. And it's really cool, because that's the thing, though, is that now that you guys are sort of all bringing this, collective vision together, is it easy to bounce off ideas off of one another? Or is it like something where, how do you, let's say you have an idea. How do you convince the entire group to say, you know what, this is a good thing and let's go ahead and run with this, especially because you have obviously multiple people putting in their input?
Yeah, it's actually not conflicting or an issue at all. Like, it's never, I think, because of the personality of everyone in the group, nobody is like, hey, this is what we're doing. Like, kind of no questions asked. It's always brought forth, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And when one of us brings that idea forward, they always say, two minds are better than one. Well, we got four, so we all just kind of pitch in. So what an idea that is brought forth is kind of this good. By the time everybody has their input, it's this good. It just gets better with everybody's input. So it's awesome. Really, it's awesome.
Earlier, you mentioned this was kind of scary for you, and that a lot of your friends were kind of thinking like, what are you doing? This thing has worked for you for a very long time, and now you're switching gears here. Was there ever a moment where you thought, you know what, maybe they're right. Maybe I shouldn't take this leap of faith and try something new? Was there ever that moment for you, or were you just like, no, like, I'm ready. Like, this is the time to do it now?
Maybe the one moment was when I took those clippers and shaved the middle of my head of my big long mane that I had been growing for over a decade, and looked in the mirror and thought, oh crap.
You're like, I really did it now. There's no going back.
Maybe this was a mistake. And if it was, there is no turning back now. But other than that, short second of questioning when that hair came off, no, there's been no question. It's just been moving forward, because my career has been done nothing but move forward, onward and upward in a positive direction since I made the change. So no doubts, no questioning. It's just onward and upward.
I think if anything, the moment that you shaved off the hair, I think that's really when you started to, maybe in your own personal moment, really start to get into this new persona. So if anything, it just helped, just settle that in and get the ball rolling, essentially, with all of that. So, you mentioned your friendship that you've had with Eric Young for, 20 years now or so, but being a part of this group now with him, though, do you feel that you have learned something different, from him now versus all the other time that you guys have known each other?
For sure. He's someone that I rely on for advice, because there's a lot of parallels in his career and in my career. For years, he was kind of labeled comedic relief, and he was the funny guy, and he was really good at it. And he took what was given to him and ran with it and knocked it out of the park. But he realized in his own career that he needed to make a change, because there was a plateau, or there was a ceiling to his movement, because of how he was portrayed on television, how people viewed him. And I was starting to see that in my own career, and I went to him for advice. How did you get out of that, box that you were put in? And we talked about taking a risk and being able to, you could tell someone, I'm willing to do this. I will do this. But until you actually do it, you're not really showing that you're committing. So I could say, hey, I'm willing to shave my head. I will do it. But until I take those clippers and go, boom, and here we go, and I'm moving forward, I'm proving and showing that I'm willing to take that step. So there's been so many times since I've kind of broken out of that box that I've gone to him for advice, because he has lived what I'm living right now, going from, okay, you're viewed this certain way by the fans and they've put you in a box and they think this is all you can do as a performer. But now I'm proving I got so much more to offer. And he's made a career off of doing that. So if there's anyone to go to for advice on how to kind of move forward and grow and evolve, that person's Eric Young.
See, I love that. Like, I love the whole idea of like you like realizing that, hey, you might be starting to get, I know like the term you can say even typecasted. I mean, you get it, you see an actor always getting typecasted in certain roles or whatever, or how the fans are trying to view you. But I think it's cool that, you went to him for this advice and that you made this transition, because I feel like, as a viewer, the fans are always looking for something fresh, something exciting. And as a performer, that's sort of how you keep, growing and elevating yourself.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, if you're not evolving, you're not growing. And yes, I was comfortable, but sometimes comfort leads to complacency. And I think there was I was maybe becoming a little bit complacent with my career and where I was. And when I started to really think about it, I started to realize, you know what, I don't want to be complacent. I have so much more to offer this business. I've been doing this for 20 years. And I've said this to people, and I've actually been told this by people. People have wrestled me, on the independent scene, and were like, man, you're one of the best professional wrestlers I've ever been in the ring with. I had Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, one of my heroes, tell me, he was at ringside, he was my manager once, and he's like, you are an awesome wrestler. Like, you're one of the best wrestlers I've seen in a number of years. And I've done a lot of independent wrestling shows over the last couple of years, and you're one of the best I've seen. And as a kid who played with Ricky Steamboat's action figure as a kid, to have him tell me I was awesome was a huge ego boost and a huge confidence booster for me. So I've known what I have to offer the wrestling business and the fans for years. It's just a matter of, I need an opportunity to show the world what I have to offer. And right now I'm being given the opportunity to show the world what I have to offer with Violent by Design.
That is amazing. And you have to run with it. Now, here's the other thing that I want to touch on. Impact Wrestling has had such a history of, awesome stables, awesome tag teams, and all of this. What sort of vision do you have, or hopes, desires do you have for Violent by Design to essentially be, leave their mark, not just in the history of Impact Wrestling, but in professional wrestling as a whole, given that there have been so many legendary factions?
I think what I'm really proud about right now is what we're doing as a group is different than anything that you're seeing on television right now. How even our interview segments and the things that we've been able to do with the production team backstage, it feels different. It looks different than anything that's happening in wrestling right now. So I'm super proud of that. And huge shout out to David Sahadi, Eric Tompkins, and the entire Impact Wrestling production team, because they're knocking it out of the park. They're making our vision kind of come to life on screen. So I think that's something that's solidifying us and making us unique. But I mean, I also know that we've been walking around as a group and been saying since the beginning that this world belongs to us. And right now, this is the only gold that VBD has. I mean, there's more gold to be had in Impact Wrestling, and there's more gold to be had in other companies. So the fact that this forbidden door is now open with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with AEW, Eric Young said it himself right on television after we won these belts. He said that VBD is taking over, and then this world belongs to us, and it's not just going to be in Impact Wrestling. Now that forbidden door is open, VBD might just have to kick it wide open.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to take that as a little tease, perhaps. Should I take that as a little tease that we might be seeing, something along those lines?
You take that however you want to take that. That's your job. My job is done now. You take my words and you decide what you want to make of them.
Fantastic, fantastic. So now I want to go ahead and switch gears a little bit. So, obviously outside of wrestling, some of the other things that you do a lot of motivational speaking and charity work. And I kind of want to touch on that because, I was looking at some of your stuff and I just started thinking like, that is incredible. A lot of people, they get to certain positions in their career and you don't always see people give back, but I'm seeing you give back in a way that feels very, very genuine. And so I kind of wanted to know what inspired you to say, you know what? I'm at this point in my career. I want to give back to people and inspire and motivate others.
Well, it really just comes down to the fact that I'm a wrestling fan, and I have been a wrestling fan since I was 5 years old. My first memories of happiness in my life were watching wrestling. So as I was doing these events in wrestling, whether it was independent wrestling events or events with Impact Wrestling, and being able to look out in the crowd and see like kids and families in the audience, for whatever reason, I've always kind of been able to make a connection with wrestling fans, probably because, they watch me perform and they can just kind of tell that I love what I do, and there's a connection there. And I started to really meet and develop friendships with a lot of young wrestling fans on independent wrestling shows that I was going to. And I learned of some amazing charities that these kids relied on in their community to kind of thrive. So I started to partner with young wrestling fans that I was making connections with, who I learned, I was their favorite wrestler, and for whatever reason, I was an influence on them. So I decided I want to be a positive influence to these kids rather than a negative one. And one way I can do that is partner with them, and maybe we can raise some money for some awesome local charities. So I started doing that in 2018, and the giving back that you're talking about is not just done by me. I'm doing it by partnering with young wrestling fans, young kids, to kind of show them that they can also be a positive influence to their community. And then all the donations that come in are from wrestling fans. It's wrestling fans that are donating. So when I can go to a Special Olympics, powerlifting team and hand them money and say, this has come from wrestling fans, that also changes the perspective in the communities that we're in. Like, hey, that's like, this professional wrestling thing's pretty cool, and these professional wrestling fans, they're pretty cool, and it's kind of like a cool win-win. These kids get a chance to be a positive influence. I get to raise money for awesome charities, and then also other people get to realize just how awesome professional wrestling is, and hopefully make fans out of them too, just like I've been since I was 5 years old.
That is incredible. I seriously love the story, and I love that you have this concept and you ran with it. That is very, very awesome. So before we go, feel free to plug in anything you'd like to go ahead and plug in before we wrap up the interview.
Yeah, all my social media is at Cody Deaner. So that's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And then you can also find more information about some of the stuff you were asking me about with my charity work, as also my motivational speaking. I'm currently offering virtual presentations throughout the pandemic to schools and events where they can't have me come in person, but I'm starting to amp up doing more in-person presentations too. So all of that information can be found at codydeaner.com.
Fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and post all of those links in the description box below. But before we go, do not forget to check out Slammiversary on July 17th. I'm also going to be posting links for that in the description box. Do not forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I'm Denise. This is Deaner, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.